everybody, welcome back to my channel. What's going on? No, because what's good? I don't really have much to gossip about, to be honest, so I've run out of gossip. I've run out of life updates. There's nothing to say. This is a terrible situation, sorry. Hope everyone's doing well. I am No, actually, guys, I read a really good fan fiction last night to the point where it made me stay up until 5 a.m. I've not had a good fan fiction like that since I was 14. Like, this has changed my life. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about my best mate, Sarah Harvey. Joking. She's not actually my best mate. So, Sarah Harvey, I feel like her time on the show was very, like, she was definitely a character and she was definitely there, and credit to her. Honestly, no, I feel like her time on the show was very underwhelming and very just like, what's the point of Sarah Harvey? Do you know what I mean? We've spoken about Sarah Harvey many times before here. So I thought we could put together like a little timeline of her time on the show. And trust me, when I was putting this together, it's very short. Yeah. My main issues with Sarah Harvey, I feel like her character is a really, really big character, but like came to nothing. Her character had the potential to be like, maybe not like involved in everything, but just like a big character that's just kind of like, yeah, like there. And obviously she had the connection where she went missing the same day as Allison, so they thought she was the one in the grave and not Bethany. And then she obviously had the whole dollhouse thing, which we'll talk about. But I feel like when push comes to shove, what's the point of Sarah Harvey? And just so many things surrounding her character not necessarily didn't make sense. Well, there was like one plot hole that I'm going to talk about. But in terms of like motive wise and her involvement, it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's more just like, well, what was the reason? Do you know what I mean? So I've put together just kind of like, this is a chronological order, by the way. So it starts off with her like literally working for CeCe straight off the bat. It's not like a show order. It's like a chronological order of like when things happen type of thing. Honestly, I think Sarah Harvey should have been in the grave and not Bethany, and Bethany's character changed, because I think it makes sense for Sarah Harvey to have been the one that was in Allison's grave, and it would have made the night that Allison went missing just a lot more simpler and maybe would make more sense and things like that. So I feel like that's where I would have gone with Sarah Harvey and like actually killed her off, because I thought that's where they were going with it. But then when she was alive, it just, I don't know. The background of Sarah Harvey, we are told when we kind of first, like her name kind of first gets mentioned, she was a popular, kind of like Allison, honestly, like a copy and paste of Allison, a popular girl at her school. And like I said, she was like Allison, and she was quite mean to like her friendship group and would hold things above them on their heads, whatever. But on the same day that Allison went missing, on Labor Day, so one of her friends called Avery saw her the day after Labor Day, but after that she went missing. So the first time we're introduced to Sarah, they're very much going down the line of like, this is who is in Allison's grave, because her and Allison's situation was quite similar. In chronological order, the next time she's involved in the story is season 3. So season 3, she's involved in like the lodge fire situation that happened. She didn't start the fire because the original plan was she was working with CeCe at this stage, and we'll get to that in a bit. But she was working with CeCe at this stage, and CeCe was convinced that Alison was alive, but had no confirmation of it. And she wanted to see if Alison was alive because at that point they were sisters and she cared for Alison. So she sent Sarah to the lodge to keep the liars like trapped in and occupied. And at this point, Sarah was dressed as Redcoat because CeCe had seen someone who was blonde and dressed in a red coat and thought that was Alison. Yeah, so she traps them in there. However, things don't go to plan because Shauna sets the lodge on fire with the girls inside because Shauna wants to get back at the girls because they blinded Jenna. So the plan didn't really go to plan, but like it also kind of did because Sarah and CeCe got the girls out of the house. Everyone minus Hannah because I think Alison was the one to pull Hannah out. But then CeCe overhears them saying that, did you see Alison? Alison's alive type of thing. And that's her confirmation that Alison is alive. So Sarah during that time was sent as just like a decoy type of thing within CeCe's plans. Her next involvement was in season 4, and we next see her at Wilden's funeral. So CeCe kills Wilden. CeCe sends Sarah to the funeral to like make sure that he's dead. So she actually goes to the funeral in like the black veil thing, which I was really disappointed in because I wanted the black veil person to be Melissa personally, and I feel like Sarah as Redcoat makes sense. Like I don't really have anything against Sarah Harvey being Redcoat. It makes sense, and also with the significance with the blonde hair and her going missing same time as Alison, like it makes sense in helping CeCe. But I think the black veil for Sarah to have been Redcoat and black veil, I feel like it's just a bit like, okay, all right, like whatever you say, Marlene. But I feel like if Melissa was the black veil person, like, well, yeah, it's like, yeah, like I'm there for it. But to have Redcoat and black veil the same person, I think was the disappointing side to it. But I don't really have anything to say about, like, I'm not going to drag them for the Redcoat stuff because I actually think like that's fine and like that kind of makes sense. The motive, maybe not really, but then when you think about, spoiler for what's about to come, CeCe obviously kind of kidnapped Sarah. So I think Sarah being Redcoat under CeCe's kind of like demands actually does make sense. I don't really have anything bad to say about that. But the black veil, I feel like could have been someone that's just a bit more interesting. And like I said, I truly think Melissa was the person for that. I think that would have added a lot to the story and also kind of confirmed things about Melissa as well. But nonetheless, in Grave New World, Alison obviously tells the girls that she's alive and explains what happens. So then the girls are trying to figure out who is in the grave. Who is this body that kind of took Alison's place within that? Which leads them to discover a name of Sarah Harvey. In the episode titled Who is in the Box, sorry, that's kind of gag-worthy title name because the whole episode is like discovering. Anyway, so Hannah kind of finds a website set up by Sarah's friends talking about like her disappearance and things like that, and finds out that they went missing Labor Day, which was the same day that Alison went missing. So Hannah kind of puts the two together, and then they go and see Sarah's friends, and they confirm that a friend called Avery saw her the day after Labor Day, and then like saw nothing since. But then they meet another friend called Claire, and Claire kind of says that she wished Sarah would die like before she died, and that Sarah was very powerful and held things above people. So very much they're setting this up as like Sarah is like Alison 2.0 type of thing, and that these two girls are kind of the same and they have a lot in common, which is why I think that would have made sense for her to have actually been in the grave. My thing with Bethany, we don't really know Alison and Bethany's relationship really, and if they knew each other or not, But I feel like with Sarah, I feel like it was a perfect setup of like the connection, rather than obviously them knowing each other. It's actually they're the same person, but just kind of in different universes, or like different like spaces and different like timelines and different, do you know what I mean? And I kind of really like that concept of mini Allisons kind of existing, and us seeing such a familiar picture of what we've seen of Allison and her friendship group compared to Sarah and her friendship group. Yeah, I kind of like where they were going here. I didn't really have any issue with Sarah until later on in the show. But this whole introduction, I've said in my previous videos that the Pretty Little Liars writers, as much as like I bash the plot holes and the timelines and things that don't make sense, the writers really do know how to set up a mystery and like build it up. Like the whole build up to the A reveals, the kind of build up of the NAT club, the build up of the night Allison went missing. And now I'm including this, the kind of build up of Sarah Harvey and Sarah's character and where this is going to go, and kind of the parallels to Allison and the connection to Allison. Like, I think it's really good. And I don't really have any issue here with the writing or the writers on this thing. Because although I think Sarah Harvey, I feel like she might be one of the most hated characters in the show, including me. I am a generational hater, as you guys know. But like, I don't actually have an issue with like the setup, because I think the setup in itself was really good. But it's just the conclusion is always something that the Pretty Little Liars writers kind of fall at the last hurdle. Like, you're building this up so well. Like, I very much see what you're doing. And I see the connections that you're trying to make and the parallels that you're doing. Like, I get this completely and I'm living for it and I love it. But it's just the conclusion of everything that's always like the time where they just don't get it right. And that's the most frustrating thing, because the writing is good. It's just the final hurdles. I feel like with Sarah Harvey, that's very much this situation. Then we get to season 5. In season 5, it's revealed that Bethany is the one that's in the grave. So CeCe gets Sarah to give like a card and a gift to Bethany's family while she's like wearing the black veil. Then we get on to season 6, and season 6 is where we actually see Sarah for the first time, and which is where we're introduced to Sarah as an audience. So all this stuff before gets revealed later on, but because it's in chronological order. But we see Sarah in the dollhouse, and Sarah is kind of in charge of kind of delivering food to the liars. And she's in her own little like cell, and like there's a scene of her kind of talking like how many days she's been there type of thing. So we see that CeCe has other prisoners in this dollhouse. Now, this is where things for me not necessarily start to fall off, but at the time when we're watching this, it's so interesting. Because like I said, going back to the build-up, this build-up of, oh my god, A has other people here, is so good. Like, the thought of CeCe holding more than just the liars hostage, I think is like, not cool, but you know, like, good. No, not good. Guys, what's the right word here? But it's kind of what gets revealed after, which is where things kind of fall flat for me. But we will get to that. But at this point, it was like super interesting. I was so invested in what was going on here, especially like the dollhouse episodes for me are already some of the best episodes that's been produced for Pretty Little Liars. And the involvement of adding more people into the plot and specifically into the dollhouse was really interesting for me. So like I said, backing my point up about the build-up is good. Like, very much, I'm interested, I'm front row, I'm Barry at the concert, I'm on Ticketmaster an hour before the tickets are released. Like, I'm there. So the liars obviously find out about Sarah Harvey, and like, they kind of know her at this point because they heard from her friends who it is. So they're all like flabbergasted. They're like, what the hell? The next time we see her, she runs away from home after her mum kind of takes her to the hospital, and she ends up actually moving in with Emily for a bit. Weird. And they kind of form a little bit of a relationship going on there. So that's a whole thing. During season 6, we see Sarah kind of like bond with Emily and kind of tell her about like her family situation and like it's not good and she ran away from home, etc, etc. Obviously throughout the episodes we get a lot of her taking a shower.
I'm gonna take a shower.
So, you know, that's kind of what she becomes known for, Shower Harvey. So that's something, I guess.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Literally every scene, she's like, I'm gonna go take a shower.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Girl, the water bill in this modern day, in this recession, in this economy, tone down the showering. Are you paying the water bill? I'm gonna skip all the boring bits because the next time I'm gonna bring her up is Game Over Charles. Obviously this is the episode where CeCe gets revealed as A. The liars go to this like modern lair thing. It's giving, what is it giving? It's giving Tony Stark, Avengers Tower. It's giving that. It's giving Jarvis. It's giving Friday. It's giving he's making Spider-Man a new suit. That type of vibe, right? So Sarah like goes with them, but like she gets like locked out of the room.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Everyone's like, oh my god, Sarah, no. So at this point I was getting a bit suspicious. I was like, right, because no, because here was my mathematical conclusion, right? During Mona's reveal, Mona was with Spencer during that reveal, and I was like, right, something's a bit off here, right? Because why is Mona getting involved with the story? And then Sarah was with these girls. I was like, right, something's up here, because why is Sarah with the main characters? Do you know what I mean? So when she got locked out, I was like, right. I was calculating it in my mind.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Then obviously CeCe tells them the story of her life, her biography, autobiography, and like kind of her motives, whatever. And during this time, Sarah is setting up a bomb in Radley because like I think CeCe wants to like get rid of everyone. I think that was her plan. So CeCe reveals kind of her whole thing with Sarah, and they're like, this is where it doesn't make sense to me, because like, no, listen guys, no, I'm not having it. We are told that CeCe took her on Labor Day, which doesn't make sense because someone saw her after Labor Day, but also CeCe was not A at this point, right? So where was Sarah Harvey during the time where she went missing and then CeCe took her, and when did CeCe actually take her? Like, that's the one plot hole with the writing which I think throws it out, because it doesn't really kind of, the timeline doesn't really make sense, because CeCe is in Radley and not A at this point. So it's anyone's guess really, isn't it? Anyway, but also I think Sarah's motive is also something that needs to be brought up. Now, I understand, and I'm assuming that it was very much a case of Stockholm Syndrome, or just like CeCe forcing her to do stuff, which I understand. However, whenever we saw Sarah, she was very angry and bitter towards the girls. Like, she would be very like, yeah, they got what they deserve. Okay, right.
I'm gonna take a shower.
So why do you hate them? You know? So I never really understood that point, but I also do get the side, like I said, where it could have been a forceful thing. But like Sarah kind of seemed to be in on it properly and wanted to help CeCe. So, and then also going back to it, why would Sarah pose as like a prisoner in the dollhouse? I guess to get on the good side of the liars, but she looked terrified in there. So I don't know, truly. Anyway, so Emily punches Sarah to kind of like mess up the plan with like the bomb. And then after Sarah gets knocked down, something happens to Sarah, which they explain a bit later on, and Sarah like ends up actually having to go to the hospital. But like that's kind of the last we see of Sarah for now, until she comes back. So she comes back in of late I think of Rosewood to attend CeCe's funeral, and she decides that she's going to stay in Rosewood. Now she comes to Rosewood and she's wearing these gloves, and there's this whole thing where the lies like, yeah, what happened? Like, oh my god, like we can't say what happened. Basically the whole bomb situation that happened, basically, so when she got knocked down, Sarah like touched some wires to do with the bomb and then like electrocuted herself, so she has to wear gloves to cover it, and I don't think she can like use her hands like to the best that she could before. So that's that. Sarah also like goes to CeCe's like court thing and kind of tells them that CeCe was a horrible person and it was very much Stockholm syndrome that happened to Sarah. But then Sarah goes to Alison a bit later on and like apologizes for what she said about CeCe, and that she actually really loved CeCe and like cared for her and wanted to help her and saw her as just like someone really close to her. So that's where my Stockholm syndrome thing gets thrown out. Thank you, Sarah Harvey, for confirming that for me, babes. Like I said before, I understand if it was Stockholm syndrome, but the fact that Sarah was like, no, I actually really like CeCe. Okay, right, no, okay, interesting. Because like, so when did you meet then? And when did you become friends? When did you decide to, let me torture these 4 random girls who I've never seen before because of this one friend? I don't get it. Now, I do support women's rights and wrongs. However, in this situation, I feel like I cannot, because I just don't like her. I just don't vibe with her character. So therefore, it is feminism every day, but not for this. Sorry. But I do support women's rights and wrongdoings, so I will cheer either way. But when it gets to Sarah Harvey, we may need to rethink that whole thing,
I'm gonna take a shower.
The liars at this point are kind of like, right, what's Sarah really doing back in Rosewood? Like, why is she staying for? Now, I can't say yet because it's a spoiler. Basically, CeCe left something behind and Sarah wanted to get it. Anyway, so turns out Sarah's staying in the same room that CeCe stayed in when she was at Radley. And they like go to like this wall, and like there's a hole in the wall, and they find these like electrical wire things, and I think the liars comes to the conclusion that CeCe was being tortured by these things. Anyway, it's kind of like a tunnel, and like it leads out of Radley. However, when they go back a few days later, like it's been sealed up. So that was a quick DIY job. Quick little, let me just cover this hole up in a big gigantic tunnel in this hotel. Season 7 comes along. Probably my least favorite season of any TV show I've ever watched, ever. Oh my god, guys, so off topic. I'm rewatching season 3 of Stranger Things again. Oh. You had to be there. You had to be there back in the day. When was season 3? 2019, I think it was. You had to be there. Sorry, so off topic, but it just came into my mind. Anyway, season 7. Sarah befriends Jenna. They like kind of become friends. Anyway, one time they're having drinks at Radley, and then like this known figure like walks into the camera and like they meet him. And oh, sorry, spoiler, him, obviously, sorry, I just assumed that men are just bad. So, and I would be correct, because who is it? Noel Kahn. Now, me and Noel Kahn, if you've been a viewer of this channel for a little while, I actually have personal beef with Noel Kahn, and he gets on my nerves every day of my life. And he's my Roman Empire in a bad way, because like I've always called him the most relevant character, because he's so irrelevant. And like, how is he involved? And not only is he involved, he's involved in the main plots of the story. Alison's disappearance, helping Alison, and then helping CeCe in the dollhouse. Girl, no, I'm not going to waste any more time on him. I'm not going to do it. I'm not worth my time. Like I said, feminism, it's not worth my time. Anyway, so I think Sarah kind of becomes a bit rattled by Jenna and Noel.
I'm gonna take a shower.
And I think she's quite scared of them, because we see her trying to pack all of her things and escape where she's staying in Radley at that point, because I think she is terrified of these people because something's going down. Anyway, so we see her opening the door, and there's a random person on the other side. We don't know who it is because they like leave it as a cliffhanger. And Sarah's like, what are you doing here? Or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she says. Anyway, so turns out Sarah dies. And I actually think this is very symbolic, very full circle, very, Shakespeare, I feel like, would be proud. Basically. So Sarah Harvey ends up dying, and when they find her, she's in the shower.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Oh, well, yes. Well, yes. Oh, yes. Very good. Love it. Amazing writing. Marlene King, you will be double, triple, quadruple paid for that episode. Maybe not the episodes, but that scene. Yeah. We will be paying you. During the wrap of Kahn, Hannah sees Noel Kahn kind of like getting rid of Sarah's phone. And at this point, Hannah thinks that Noel is AD. And let me just tell you, okay, anybody that these girls suspect before the reveal, I promise you they will not be A. How many times have we done this? We've suspected a lot of people on this show, and every time, none of them are A. So let me just give you a warning, okay? Anybody who is a suspect before the last episode of season 2, the season 6 episode 10, and the last ever episode of season 7, they are not A. I promise you, they are not A. They are not A. Because look, I love these liars, right? But they are not detectives. No. So according to Jenna, Noel was accountable for Sarah Harvey's death.
I'm gonna take a shower.
And she feared that she was his next victim. Noel recruited Jenna with the assertion that Charlotte left enough money in her will to afford Jenna another eye surgery. Nonetheless, Jenna suspected Noel of plotting to steal the cash all to himself, since his parents had financially cut him off. In an attempt to spare her life, Jenna brought a gun to the blind house thing where Spencer gets shot as an act of self-defense, which is a lie because they were working together. So Jenna, don't annoy me. Jenna. No, Jenna. I know I said I support women's rights and wrongs, but this is thin ice. This is very thin ice here. After Jenna describes her side of the story, Detective Fury orders one of the associates to escort Jenna to a conference room so she can make a statement. But Spencer is like, you can't trust her. Yeah, exactly, Spencer. Yeah, you're not wrong there, babes. So obviously then we have the Alex Drake reveal, the famous Ello sister reveal.
That is such a classic Spencer line.
And Spencer asks Alex about like Sarah's involvement and everything, and Alex says that CeCe said that she's left her like greatest treasure in Radley, and Sarah thought it was money. So Sarah, Jenna and Noel thought it was money, and it was kind of like a race to kind of get it type of thing. However, the actual treasure was, let me get this right, Mary Drake's medical file, which said obviously who her children was. So that was like the big thing. So I actually find that really funny. And CeCe Drake, you're a bit of a comedian. I love it, because to say that you've left your grand treasure there is very much hinting that it's money. So you've got these three people kind of like going after each other and then going after the money for it to be a file about your family, I think is really funny. Like, no, because like that's like comedic behavior, and like no, because like I know that CeCe did what she did. She was very wrong for it. Blah, 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 blah. That was a bit of a girl boss move. Do you know what I mean? So that's literally Sarah's whole time on the show. And like I said, very, yeah, okay. Very much, it's like, what was the point in Sarah Harvey? I feel like I said, I would have tied her in more, and I would have actually had her be in Allison's grave. I think it would have ultimately, having her in the grave and kind of erasing Bethany from the plot maybe, would have saved so many plot holes and would have like made so much more sense and actually brought relevance to her character. But she's brought in, and I assumed when they brought her in that she would be a big character and a big part of the story. But like, once her kind of motives are thrown out, why is she like there? But also, she's just like very annoying. Like, straight off the bat, I found her very annoying, and I think the writers wanted us to feel sorry for her, obviously, when they introduce her, because she was a prison in CeCe's dollhouse and things like that. But ultimately, like, after an episode of Sarah Harvey, primarily after she gets her haircut, actually, I can't stand her. Like, she's very, very annoying. Sorry to this woman. Like, I don't know, I just didn't vibe with that as much at all. But also, like, her thing with CeCe, timeline wise, it doesn't really make sense. But also motive wise, like I said, I understand if it's the Stockholm Syndrome point of view, but Sarah said herself that it wasn't. So therefore, what was your plan and what was your motive here? Do you know what I mean? But the overall build up to Sarah Harvey, kind of before she got introduced, loved it. Like, the parallels with Allison and the overall kind of mystery surrounding, oh, there's another girl that's gone missing. Love it. Like, I really, really love it. But it's just a shame at the final hurdle, it kind of just came crashing down. Because very much they were like there with it and they had something. But yeah, I don't think it really helps that Sarah's like one-liners were quite boring. Like, when she was just like, oh, I'm going to take a shower now.
I'm going to take a shower.
Just to like end the scene. And like, they did this like so many times. Like, it's not even like once or twice. Guys,
I'm going to take a shower.
She's literally named Shower Harvey because of it. Like, it was a rough time. It was not a good time. Sorry. Anyway, that is it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Give me your opinions surrounding Sarah Harvey. What's your kind of perspective? Did you like her kind of character involvement? Would you have changed anything in particular? And let me know. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.